It's the real sound of H-Town, 97.9 The Box, the Madd Hatta Morning Show in the studio with, of course, brother Derek Muhammad, of course, and former NFL superstar, Adrian Peterson in the building. I can say that, right?
Not former, though. I like that part.
You already got a team that you're going to end up on?
Not yet. I'm still a free agent.
I thought you actually were going to, let it go. You still feel like you want to do it some more?
Yeah. I still have it enough in the tank, not just yet.
I thought, you done settled in, you done made your money, you done did what you was going to do. I'm good. I don't need this no more, but you still want to do it.
Yeah, I still have a lot left in the tank, so I feel like once I get the opportunity, I'll be able to show what I have.
Okay, all right. Well, you can't say any prospects, so I'm not going to even
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Can you? Just a couple.
Well, to be honest, as of now, no, there's none, so I don't quite understand it.
I always thought that you was going to end up on the Texans a while back. After the injury, I'm like, this is a perfect time to pick up Adrian. He lives right down the street. Just make this easy, guys. Just walk to his house, say, come on over and let's do this.
Yeah, I think I can help out a lot, but we'll see. Okay. I've been working out, keeping myself in shape. So
you look like you're ready to go back on the field. So. But I know a lot of brothers, once they stop, they still keep the physique, you know what I'm saying, because it's in them, you know what I'm saying? But I had no clue. Okay, well, it's good to know that you still want to do this, man. I all the luck in the world on that, man.
Thank you.
All the luck in the world. But you guys got something, of course, with Brother Derek Muhammad going on this week, and that's very important to you as well. So, Brother Derek, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes, this Saturday, June 2nd, we'll be hosting, along with our brother Adrian Peterson, a Stop the Violence Peace Walk. Starts at 12 p.m. and we'll meet in Sunnyside, Southeast Houston, 9314 Cullen Boulevard, right in the Fiesta parking lot. We're meeting in Southeast Houston and in Sunnyside for a specific reason. Number one, the gun violence is out of control in 3rd Ward and Sunnyside. We've got several factions going back and forth with murderous retaliations, not realizing that it doesn't matter how many times you kill one another. When you look at the scoreboard, it's always 0-0.
That's right.
Nobody wins.
Right.
Nobody wins when you kill your own brother. But this also happens to be the same neighborhood where Adrian lost his brother in 2007. And I'll let him talk a little bit more about that. But he lost his brother to a carjacking in 2007. Adrian is also doing something for the community on June 9th. He's hosting his first all-day elite football camp. Okay. And so in concert with the camp, he and his people reached out, and Adrian had it in his heart to do something for his brother, to do something centered around the issue of gun violence. And that's what we'll be doing this Saturday. We want everybody to join us.
Yeah, 12 o'clock Saturday. And the reason why it was just near and dear to my heart, when I was with my colleagues and we were putting this camp together, we, when the No More Bloodshed came across the table, I knew it would be great to partner with them because I've personally been, impacted by it. In 2007, my brother was gunned down on the sunny side.
Was he just wrong place, wrong time? Because I remember the case, he was, of course, in the slab, wrong place, or some guys they want what somebody else got. It's just that simple.
I think it was just that simple. It was, it was candy apple. He had 84s on there, 84s on the ride as well, and they actually came through the passenger side door, and he got out to run, and they shot him down from the back. So that right there is really what hurt the most, Wow. So
did they ever catch the gentleman that did it?
No, they never.
Really?
It went cold for a minute, then they reopened it. A couple years later, and nothing came of it. So for me, that's why it was so important to be a part of this peace walk on Saturday, and just to let people know that there's other people out there as well that's dealing with the loss of loved ones, and we just want everyone to come out and bring their signs so their voice can be heard.
Brother Derek, let me ask you a question, because it seems like every so many years, violence starts to escalate in certain communities, and we have to do this again. Why is this one of these stories, continuous stories, that seem like Adrian, his brother, passed away in 2007, it's 2018. Why does it seem like we still need to deal with this problem in some of these communities? Why can we not get over the hump of violence against each other in our community?
Well, we have to understand that we have to understand that what causes the violence we have to look at the root of what causes the violence, and it's
opportunity.
systemic: lack of opportunity, failure of the educational system, school to prison pipeline. These are systemic, institutionalized things that cause the violence. So as long as you have those systems in place, the violence is going to continue to be systemic.
I always wonder, what can we do to stop it? Like, you know, we always say people need to be a part of the political process, and it still seems it's hard for us to become a part of that political process that can maybe start to eradicate these issues that we continuously have.
Well, I believe in focusing on what it is that you can directly control.
Right.
While we do have to be a part of the political process, we have to ask ourselves the questions: what are those things that we can directly control? See, I can't control what goes on in the White House directly, but I can directly control what goes on in my own house, on my own street, on my own block. So the breakdown of the family is what causes so much of the frustration and the mental anguish that ends up getting played out on the street. Two brothers walking down the street, one brother steps on another brother's sneakers, turns into a fight. Well, the fight is not about the sneakers. The fight is about the fact that one or more of those brothers is having problems at home and is walking around a ticking time bomb because his dad's in prison, his mom's on drugs. He can't seem to get over the hump in his math class, people making fun of him. And so he just explodes. And you wonder, where's all of this coming from? It's coming from these systemic institutions that are creating the atmosphere for this violence. And then when you look at gentrification, Hatter, I mean, imagine waking up in your grandmother's 1,400 square foot shotgun home and then looking across the street and seeing an $800,000 condominium going up right across the street. And you like, man, why can't I have some of that? And then you look at the people who come into our community and open up businesses but don't hire our youth. So the problem is systemic. So what we have to do is create solutions that are just as systemic as the problem. We got to fight fire with fire. And that's the solution, but it's going to take all of us.
And it's not an overnight solve situation either.
We didn't get into this condition overnight, so the problem won't be solved overnight, but you know, AD and I were talking yesterday. They call him AD, mean all day,
I know y'all close. Y'all close now, so you call him AD. I got it.
Right. But we were talking yesterday, and we were basically saying, you know, how do you quantify whether or not you've been successful? Because when somebody gets killed, they're going to show that on the news. But if somebody gets saved from being murdered, they're not going to show that on the news, so we don't know. But if we save one life in the process, then our work will not have been in vain.
Yes, sir. Give them all the information about where you're doing it, where it starts, and there needs to be a continuous dialogue, I always say, Brother Derek. So is there some organization or someone they can get in contact with the community at large? Because a lot of times, these, like you said, these things are happening in the community. And we also have that, you know, the I ain't telling on you policy when we see certain things go down in the community too.
Right.
And all these things are, as you say, systemic. So we got a whole bunch of stuff we need to work on. But is there organizations or phone numbers that people can call so they can do more to be involved?
Yeah, we encourage everyone to join the No More Bloodshed movement. You can do that by going online to www.nomorebs.org. And yeah, it's nomorebs.org. It stands for bloodshed, but it stands for something else too.
Yeah, we got you. We feel you.
And in that, you'll be able to find your space where you can use your talent and your opportunity to help us to stop the violence. But also, you know, we like to talk about the need for programs in our communities. Unfortunately, schools are closing down, prisons are going up, and programs are being shut down. When I grew up in the projects, we had somebody called a maintenance man. So when something was broken and needed repairing, Mama, call a maintenance man. So as young boys, we didn't learn how to fix anything. We didn't learn a trade. So we need trade schools in our community so our young brothers can go and learn a trade. And once you have a trade, you can literally create a job for yourself anytime. But also athletic programs where young brothers not only just learn how to play football and basketball, but they learn teamwork. They learn the value of the reward of hard work. They learn discipline. They learn all of these things that AD had to learn in order to get where he's gotten in his career. Well, the program that Brothers hosted on June the 9th at St. Thomas High School it kind of mirrors what it is I believe that we need more of in our community, because summers like 2018, where if we're not careful, there will be a lot of blood spilling on the
just keep 'em
streets.
busy,
If
no doubt.
we gotta keep them. You
Yeah.
said it. You gotta keep them busy, because if the football coach has got them, then the
Streets
dope
can't
man
have
don't.
it. That's right. That's right. And Adrian, so they can be a part of your program. What's the number that they need?
So they will have to look up www.adrianpetersоncamp.com.
Okay.
And the youth camp is June 9th. And the exposure camp for the high school players, 9th through 12th grade, is that Sunday as well. So to kind of touch back on what he was saying, like for me, it was very important when I was young to be able to be a part of these camps, because when these professional athletes came in and these mentors, they gave me the opportunity to see that, you know what, there's more out there for me to accomplish. So when it was times that I really kind of wanted to steer off, you know, it made me kind of focus back on that God-given talent and kind of believing in my dream. And it kept me busy.
Well,
It kept me busy as
Mr.
well.
Peterson, do you think maybe you a different type? I always wonder this too. Or is it because maybe some people can come from the same place, come from the same hood,
Oh, yeah.
but they are different. Not trying to say that their mentality is different. The way they're going to get through this struggle is different. Could you have been just, you know, you went through a lot in the family. Could you have just been different in your thought process to get you out of that situation that you were in? Like, maybe everybody's not like Mr. Peterson.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, because I have a great example. You know, growing up in Palestine, there was this other guy that we was in the same grade.
Yeah.
And it started in 8th grade when we kind of started to shine through. But he had the equal talent that I had. And the decisions that we made going forward, he went off to the left.
That's right.
And, you know, I went off to the left a little bit, but curved back and was able to go on
You
to
say, bro, you
accomplish
curve back.
curve
Huh?
back,
I like
you
that
know?
curve.
Curve back, and was able to go on to college and on to the NFL and accomplish, you know, those goals. And that's the biggest thing. I don't feel like the parents in the household and they have the right, and these youth, they don't have the right people around them to guide them, to lead them, to let them know that there's other ways to handle altercations, you know, outside of, you know, throwing up your dukes or pulling out a gun. And I would rather you store up your dukes than pull out a
Absolutely.
gun.
No, right,
Absolutely.
right, right.
Absolutely.
But there's different ways to handle these situations.
So maybe if those people weren't in your life, we probably don't have this Adrian Peterson that goes down the record
At
books.
all. I look back so many times, man, and just thank God for blessing me to be able to get back on track, because it wasn't just one time. It was several times that I kind of got off track, and I was able to get back on track. And I see how if the decision would have went the other way,
You might not be here right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Was there anyone or anything in particular that made you take that different path than your friend that was, you know, doing the same exact thing as you?
Yeah, well, my dad got incarcerated going into my 7th grade year. So that was something that was eye-opening to me as well. But my mom, she was my
But you
rock.
could have followed that same track, Mr.
Yeah,
Peterson.
yeah, exactly.
As your father.
Exactly.
So there still has to be somebody or something there
what?
that changes that.
You know what? That was a situation I got into. My first time ever smoking marijuana was my 7th grade year, and I got it from my uncle's house the night before. It was the dumbest decision I had ever made, and I took it to the bathroom, and me and my friend we hit it one time, and that ended up causing us to go to alternative school. Right? So I ended up switching to the crosstown school to kind of get a change of scenery and to kind of switch things up. And once I made that change and got away from the negativity that I was around and surrounding myself around, you know, like-minded people that were trying to accomplish their goals, that were, you know, focused on their grades and doing the right things, I was able to get back on track, you know, get back on track. And once I got into high school, after my sophomore year, I kind of got back off track. And I remember I was kind of hanging it up. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to run track. I'm not going to really get back into football. And I remember my dad calling me. I never forget. It was a Saturday, and we had started training camp, tour days. And he called. My stepdad brought me the phone. He was like, "Your dad's on the phone." I got on the phone. He was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Man, I'm laying down resting. Shouldn't you be out there playing right now? You know, practicing?" I was like, "Dad, I don't really think I'm really into it." He said, "Boy, if I call up to that school and you haven't been up there for practice, when you come up here, we're gonna have an issue."
And he was in jail at this particular time.
Oh yeah, he had that fear. It's still there.
Wow.
Damn, that's some strong.
Yeah.
God dog it.
And I remember that phone call because I got up. I got up and I had to work my way to kind of get back in that position. And that first game of the year, we played in Huntsville, and I ran for 305 yards, 6 touchdowns. Wow. And I took off from that point. I was after week 2, I was #1 player in the nation my junior year and my senior year.
Wow. Okay. Now, how did you get the legendary work ethic? Because I like to read about players like yourself, coming back from their injury. And everything I read is that he works hard. He outworks everybody. Even up to last year, they said you were the hardest worker. Yeah. When did you get that? And what makes you work so hard in just regular training every single day, they say?
They say hard work outdoes talent when talent doesn't work hard. So I've always had that mentality, and I always knew that I was gifted and blessed. So I always wanted to, and I've never been the type of person that wants anything handed to me. Right. And I get that work ethic from my mom. She ran track here at the University of Houston.
What?
My dad, he was an All-American in basketball. So for me, it was something that was just instilled in me at a young age. Man. And I'm always trying to outwork everyone, even though I'm gifted with this talent. I'm like, no one will outwork me. You kind of touched on the 2012. Yeah. It has a lot to do with your mentality as well. I remember when that injury happened. By the time I was back in the locker room, I was already telling my dad, because he came down. He was at that game in Washington. I was already telling him that I'm gonna be back better than I was the year before.
Because they counted you out, bro.
Yeah, I know they did.
They didn't think you was coming back.
But they didn't know that, hey, with God on your
because
side.
Because they had never saw anybody. Well, come on now. You never saw anybody come back from an injury
like
and
that.
do
No,
it
no,
like that.
True.
Come on now.
True. It's agreed. I agree with that. So, yeah, I can understand why they were saying what they were saying. But like you said, too, tenacity, hard work, and, a blessing from up above, you can pull off all miracles. So.
And speaking of hard work, so who's the hardest worker that you was like, you know what, I work hard, but this dude work hard? Because I've heard about Jerry Rice. He's a hard worker. So who's the hardest worker you have been up to against in, your years, even on your teams? Like, man.
Is there somebody that works harder than Adrian Peterson, is your question?
Or as hard as you. Or as hard as you in football.
If there's one person that when you asked that question that stood out immediately, it was Drew Brees.
Wow.
It was Drew Brees, man. Just being up there in New Orleans for that short period of time and just seeing him, man, I'm talking like clockwork. You see this guy out on the field 2 hours before practice, and he's going through his fundamentals. He's in the weight room, he's lifting. He's cut up. And the funny thing is, once we did our conditioning test, that's probably the first time I ever lost a conditioning test. To Drew Brees, and it was some different. It was some like CrossFit type training, some rowing and some stuff like that. And
they switched it up on you.
They switched it up on me a little bit. They had been talking about, we heard you be crushing the workouts and stuff. So I think it was a little conspiracy and within it. But that's when I really kind of opened my eyes. I was like, man, Drew Brees, he's the truth, But that was like more like time and endurance and things like that, but it just gave me a new respect for him, and just watching him do it repeatedly over time, and it goes to show why he's one of the greatest.
Finally, I'll ask, is there any regrets that you have, that of the things that you've done in the NFL, particularly in the NFL, any regrets?
Any regrets?
Or you've done it all the way that Adrian Peterson wanted to do it?
No, if I could do some things different, of course I would, but I think everything kind of played out the way that it was meant to play out. So I'll accept it for what it is.
Okay. Any team you'd like to go to, or you can't say, you don't want to say? You got to go ahead.
I just have one question. You have so many records for the Vikings, but there's one record that 9 yards short of the rookie rushing record. When you see Eric Dickerson, you tell him he's a lucky man.
I know he was praying that I didn't get another touch. But I actually kind of think about the Houston game because we came down and played Houston, and man, I think I might have had 20, 30 some yards, you know. So I kind of think about that game. I'm just like, man, if I could have got one more first down. But yeah, you know.
That's real.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, I think about it. But like I say, at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, if it was meant to happen, you know, it would have happened. I remember after that game, and I didn't know because I went into the game and I was like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Yeah. So I remember our guy coming over and he was like, you finished 9 yards short. I was like, what? Really? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, I guess it you know, it lives on another year. Yeah. You know, I just kind of kept it pushing.
That was an amazing record, though. That was what 2,000 yards in one season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the NFL making players stand up for the national anthem?
What do I think about it?
Uh-oh, you better be careful what you say. You're trying to get back in. Don't say it. I'm going to save you because I love you and I like to see you. Don't
so
say
you don't want him to answer.
Don't say anything.
Mac refuses for you to. Mac refuses.
No.
Mac just refuses.
No, you see what they're doing. No.
Mac refuses to have Adrian Peterson answer that question. He said this is a young brother trying to get back in.
Let him say something. He might have some.
Okay,
J Mac said he has no word.
Say.
Okay,
be careful what you
Mac said be careful because Mac said he want to see you play.
I don't want this show to be the reason you're not.
I feel you, man. I'm with you on that, J Mac.
Yeah, but when you look at some of the stories that Adrian told, it just reminds us that, you know, building our communities and inspiring our young people is a game of inches, just like football. Like we were talking yesterday, and he was saying that when he was going off the path back in his younger days, he went to a camp, and he was saying there was a player from the Dallas Cowboys who said something. I don't even remember his name, but he still remembers what the man said. So you never know when you can speak just a 30-second word of encouragement that could change somebody's life. It's a game of inches, just like that. That's on the positive side and on the negative side. So you can say you can plant a negative seed in their head, and somebody water that seed, and they go off and do something stupid. But you can plant that positive seed, and the opposite happens. So that's what we all have to be about.
And that's what you're doing with your organization as well. And then just to bring this back to you, Brother Derek, what you guys doing this weekend in the walk as well, man. I commend you as always, you know, doing the stuff that you do in the community. Because oftentimes there's people who talk about doing things and don't do anything. Yes, sir. So it's good to see somebody talk about things and then, you know, be at the forefront of what's going on.
Yeah, and we appreciate the support, man.
Adrian, I got just one last question because I just keep on thinking about it. Your brother, when he died, I'm sure that you paid for his car. Do you feel guilty? Because I hear like Jay-Z and all these big celebrities, they always feel guilty. And, you know, like, man, I wish I hadn't have gave him that much money, or I wish I hadn't have gave him that. And they feel guilty for a long time, even though it's not their fault. So I was wondering, did you feel real guilty about putting him in that position to, I don't know.
The only thing I really feel guilty about when it comes to that situation is, you know, he wanted to come up because it happened during the NFL Combine.
Ooh.
And it was that same weekend. And he wanted to come up. He was like, man, I'll come up and I can just stay. You know I won't be able to interact with you and this, that, and other. You can kind of put me up in a hotel there. I can just kind of kick in and have that whole experience. So that's kind of like the only regret that I have, that I didn't allow him to come up there with me. No other regrets, man. You know, it was just an unfortunate situation, and you know we had kind of been talking about, you know, coming up here to Houston, and because he's from Palestine as well, and his girlfriend at the time had recently moved up here to Houston, and so he had been coming up to this area, you know, seeing her a lot, and we talked several times about, you know, driving his vehicle up and in different areas to kind of stay away from, and he knew Sunnyside and, you know, Third Ward area how it can be and how rough it can be. So I don't have any regrets, man. It was just so unfortunate that the situation took place.
Our apologies on that, man. No. All right, listen, people, be a part of this. Stop the Violence Peace Walk this Saturday, 12 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
12 o'clock, 9314 Cullen, right across from the Sunnyside Multi-Service Center. Make sure you are there early, ready to walk, and ready to participate. Because, the one walk, the one time, is going to be more than that, people. So just know that this is one of those, it's the beginning process to bring acknowledgement to what's going on, that we need to do something about it in our community, and then for you to be a part of the solution and not being a part of the problem. So make sure you're there once again this Saturday, 12 o'clock, 9314 Cullen, right across from the Sunnyside Multi-Service Center. I got everything, Brother Derek.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Adrian.
You can make sure everyone registers.
Yes, sir.
Last
Yes,
week,
sir.
AdrianPetersonCamp.com. You can find all the details and information there.
Adrian, thank you again for coming up too, bro, and sharing your story with us too. Thank y'all, man.
Promise, all love.